Battle Through the Heavens, Grand World. Chapter 141 Underworld Law Enforcer. The voice of the young man in the blood-red robe echoed across the sky. It was extremely grating to the ears, and his tone was filled with a strong sense of ridicule. The old man beside him was completely covered by a black robe, and half of his face was covered by a black robe. The most obvious feature was that he had a hooked nose. The old man raised his head and looked coldly at Li Daoyuan and his group. He didn't even look at the group of elders. Instead, he fixed his eyes on the ancient gray-robed, white-haired old man in front of them. I thought someone saw through my concealment technique. So it's you, Lao Qianwan. No wonder you have such strength. After saying that, the old man squinted his eyes and smiled casually. You have also advanced to the Heavenly Sovereign. Hehe, Kai Shui. Looks like it will be a little troublesome to succeed today. The young man in the blood-red robe said indifferently, he's just a guy who hasn't even reached the Heavenly Sovereign yet. What kind of storm can he create? Although there are a lot of Emperor cultivation and Monarch cultivation warriors behind him, they are still not in your eyes. Hearing the unscrupulous words of these two men, the gray-robed old man narrowed his eyes. When he sounded the bronze bell today, he had already realized that these guys might come. He didn't expect that they would be hiding so well, and only then did they realize it. How long have the two of you been hiding here? Lao Qianwan asked. Hiding. What he said was really unpleasant. The two of us have been watching this place for a long time, but you just didn't notice it. Let me tell you, as the former guild leader of the Spirit Heaven Mansion's Alchemist Guild, your reputation is truly undeserved. The young man in the blood-red robe said languidly. Don't talk nonsense with him. I'll stop these guys. You go and seize those three guys. I didn't expect the quality of this batch to be so high. This trip is really worth it. Black-robed old man said coldly. His cold voice had become extremely sinister at the end of his sentence. Kai Shui responded. Just as he was about to make a move, he suddenly heard a clear whistle from afar. In the next moment, a human figure rushed over from the horizon. The light faded and a robust middle-aged man in a black robe appeared beside Lao Qianwan. Master of Spirit Heaven Mansion. Wu Judian. The old man called Gui Diao looked at the newcomer indifferently and said. Wu Judian coldly harumphed and said, Who are you people? Why have you come here? As he spoke, Wu Judian's heart skipped a beat. These two fellows gave him an incomparably strong feeling. Although he could clearly see the strength of these two men, he still had a bad premonition in his heart. An Earth-grade law enforcer of Nether Domain. Has Prefecture Master Wu heard of them? Gui Diao said in a gloomy voice. An Earth-level law enforcer. Wu Judian was stunned for a second, then he sneered and said, So that's how it is. It is indeed you guys who are neither human nor ghost. It was an accident in the pill competition a few years ago. It was you guys who did this, right? At this point, Wu Judian's eyes were filled with anger. I was extremely brilliant during that pill gathering. The most amazing alchemist even managed to concoct a tier 5 and 2-star medicine pill. He never thought that a law enforcer from the Nether Domain would suddenly appear at the final stage of the pill competition. At that time, in the Spirit Heaven Mansion, Lao Qianwan had just advanced to the Heavenly Sovereign, and he had something to do outside. The law enforcer who had the strength of a Heavenly Sovereign broke into the arena like a tiger or a flock of sheep. No one could stop him. In the end, he grabbed the most outstanding alchemist and swaggered away. After the incident, they had also investigated the matter, but they didn't get any news about it. It wasn't until one time when Wu Judian and the other prefecture master talked about it that they heard the word law enforcer of Nether Domain from the other party. They never thought that after so many years, these guys would once again appear like haunting ghosts. That time, oh, that alchemist's potential was really great. Now, he has become the mainstay of a branch palace in Nether Domain. However, in this year's pill competition, the potential of these three little guys is even greater. After saying that, Gui Diao looked at the unconscious Li Zan, Xiao Yu, and the sober Xiao Yan with one of his eyes. Dream on. Since you dare to come here, don't even think about going back alive. Wu Judian was burning with anger. His body moved and rushed towards Gui Diao. At the same time, both of his hands moved continuously, stirring up the wind and clouds. His fist carried a force that seemed to be able to break through the sky and smashed towards Gui Diao. He's only a rank 2 Heavenly Sovereign. He's courting death. Gui Diao coldly harumphed. He stomped on the void with his left foot. The sky with him as the center suddenly trembled violently. Immediately after that, death ripples rushed towards Wu Judian like numerous sharp swords. Seeing that Wu Judian and Gui Diao had already started fighting, Lao Qianwan also let out a sigh of relief and shouted at Li Daoyuan and the others behind him in a low voice. You guys go and defend the defensive formation of the arena. I alone am enough here. After saying that, he moved both of his hands. It was as if all the energy in the world had gathered on Lao Qianwan's hands, forming a green cyclone that was a few hundred meters in size. It then rushed towards Kai Shui. Insignificant skill. Kai Shui's body flashed, and he appeared in front of the green cyclone. With a strong sense of disdain on his face, he raised his fist and threw it towards the cyclone without any fancy moves. Boom! A loud sound that shook the heaven and earth was heard. The entire venue seemed to shake. A huge shockwave spread out in all directions, causing the stands below to be affected and turned into ashes in an instant. Second-rank heavenly sovereign warriors. Xiao Yan couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief when he saw this scene. He was held by Xiao Wang by his waist. Xiao Yan didn't struggle at all. Given his current condition, he wouldn't be able to escape from any of these two men if he was targeted by any of them. Looking around, Ji Yun and the others had already entered the main hall behind them. Xiao Wang had already rushed into the main hall when the four heavenly sovereign warriors started fighting. In just a few breaths' time, he was already very close to the entrance. Swoosh! Suddenly, the space in front of Xiao Wang trembled slightly. Kai Shui's figure suddenly appeared in front of Xiao Wang. Xiao Wang was startled and immediately stopped running. With an ugly expression, he looked at the sneering Kai Shui. Leave these two guys here. Laughing loudly, Kai Shui struck out with his left palm. With a force that could break the heaven and earth, he struck towards Xiao Wang's chest. Wherever the palm wind passed, the space trembled violently, feeling the tremendous force of this palm strike. Xiao Wang's facial expression changed dramatically. This bastard's strength was actually this terrifying. It was just a casual palm strike, but it had rendered him powerless to resist. Xiao Yan was also unable to open his eyes due to the strong force of the attack. In this seemingly casual palm strike, a thick aura of death was pulsating. Boom! Just as Kai Shui's palm was about to pierce through Xiao Wang's chest, a majestic soul force struck at lightning speed. Kai Shui's movement couldn't help but stiffen, and he took this opportunity. Xiao Wang's body rushed forward violently. Before Kai Shui could react, he had already rushed into the main hall. At this moment, Li Daoyuan and the others had also arrived at the top of the main hall. They had joined hands to activate the defensive formation. They saw that there were still many people fleeing in all directions. Li Daoyuan let out a low sigh. He did not have the time to worry about these things. He wholeheartedly devoted himself to the maintenance of the formation. After being hit in the head by Lao Qianwan's soul power, even though he was a heavenly sovereign, Kai Shui still shook his head and grimaced in pain. When he saw Lao Qianwan coming in front of him, Kai Shui was so angry that he laughed and said, "You overestimate yourself. You can only use your soul power to fight me for a little bit. Do you want to use this to defeat me?" Lao Qianwan looked at Kai Shui with a gloomy expression and said slowly, "I can't defeat him, but I can still fight him." Soon, the law enforcement team of the Star Field would arrive. At that time, the two of you will really die without a burial ground. Kai Shui's facial expression changed slightly when he heard this, then he sneered, "We have enough time to deal with you." His voice had just sounded when he transformed into a blood shadow and rushed towards Lao Qianwan. With his enormous soul strength, Lao Qianwan naturally clearly sensed Kai Shui's movements. The space behind Lao Qianwan suddenly split apart the moment the latter moved. With a step, his body had already disappeared. Kai Shui frowned slightly when his attack missed. After which, he let out a cold laugh. "You want to use the spatial energy to deal with me. You don't know the difference between life and death." After saying that, the space in front of Kai Shui quietly split open, revealing a pitch-black spatial current that frightened people. A trace of terrifying ki was emitted from within. Chapter end. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.